what is it that I discussed this a little bit in the framework of the Arab-Israeli problem with Noam Chomsky. And I told him, the situation is so irrational that if we try to solve it or approach it by rational means, we are ourselves irrational. Only an, so to say, rationality transcending kind of activity may do it. But that would take a very particular kind of knowledge and very kind of a particular approach. And I think that the essence of it has to do with the global billions of people's irrational belief in God. There's much more to it than just, that if they stop believing in God, everything will go all right. No, because that is causing political consequences of such enormity that it is actually a matter of murder. And I think that a catalytic kind of element, a catalytic modality that would affect this kind of belief in an irrational God and turn it into a rational concept of God, which means the belief in values, in the ultimate good, in love, rather than into kind of mystical garbage that is represented by some of these holy beings.
Yeah. So suddenly Muslim and Christians, even atheists, could stand for what's right versus what's wrong.
Well, Jesus and Muhammad and some of the prophets of Israel, if they would live now, they would probably be talking like us. Okay,
a philosophical view, but let's step back and think about there are real changes that can both threaten the planet that happen in technology if it's not controlled, but there also are enormous liberating potentials that happen with technology, with communication, that transform also consciousness. Now, if you think 100 years ago, the average person on this planet had no way of knowing or caring about, even having a picture of who lived in the next village, let alone across a river, let alone on the other side of the world. That was not knowledge that the average person could have. There's been big changes in communication, in the way in which humans can talk to each other and even learn of each other. You can be in the Central Africa Republic, where they sent President Aristide in exile from Haiti. Remember, the U.S. just plucked him up and set him down there. Yes. Now, we were able to go 3 days later. We decided we were going to travel there and see if we could find President Aristide. And so a little delegation of us went. Completely landlocked and underdeveloped country. Nevertheless, I was very surprised by just how much people there knew of what was happening in the world, knew of President Aristide, who was there in their midst, were actually talking with each other on cell phones, were in touch by computer. There's nowhere in the world at this point which is off limits. And those changes can make this small, tiny fraction who owns it all truly irrelevant. It will take action on our part. But see, what was not even possible in an earlier age, it wasn't. There are whole new concepts in terms of rights And this is what we have to be pushing forward if we're really organizers, if we're going to fight for the future, the right for to be a whole human being. There are movements that exist today that are liberating in ways. I mean, if you think about even the struggle for the right to gay marriage, all kinds of women's issues and issues of sexuality, of people who refuse to put up with levels of racism that were just treated as acceptable in an earlier age and are absolutely unacceptable, not allowed in the media today. So there have been new assertions of rights that we want to do everything we can to push forward. And it is why ideas are so dangerous. It's why you would say, what do they want to stop in Libya? What do they want to stop in Egypt? What do they want to stop in Cairo? The idea that the people can bring down dictatorships, that people can own their resources, that they can make huge changes in their lives. So these are things we're thinking about and really challenge ourselves. I lost my microphone here, but I think it's sort of the longer view of history, but we shouldn't get pessimistic about technology and about history and about our ability to make changes and also utilize technology to open up new struggles for rights. A challenging war. What would people have cared or known that the very fact that people all over the world were absolutely impassioned at the Israeli siege of Gaza? Was that known in an earlier age when people would try to break free from slavery? The rulers knew, but the average person didn't know what was happening in the next village. They weren't allowed to know. All information was centralized in the hands only of the rulers. And so these changes will, in the not even long run, in the very short run, make this small class of owners both so irrelevant, and there will come such a rage at these endless wars that take everything, and there's no money here. There's just nothing here. That there's creating a whole new rage. You can ask anyone on the street now where money goes, and they'll tell you it goes to the military. Maybe they haven't figured out what to do about it, but they also feel they have a right to a better life here. That's new, and that's important. Back there, we'll go around this way then. Marge and Polia, and then I don't know.
Center. Native America is being hit by youth suicide. 5-year-olds are committing suicide. 10 kids made a suicide pact on Standing Rock Reservation. And thank God, that it was caught. But this is Lance Watt Magpie. He is from Pine Ridge, Wombly Pine Ridge, the home of Crazy Horse. And it's not Crazy Horse. The true translation of the man's name is his horses are enchanted. No. Quite different than Crazy Horse. But
and why is Leonard Peltier 34 years still behind bars when the witness recanted? Why is Mumia Abu Jamal behind bars? Why is Lynne Stewart behind bars? We live in a fascist dictatorship.
Right. So this benefit is our first benefit. Lance wants to build a youth arts center, and we are, like I said, this is our first benefit. We're inviting everyone. Please get the word out. Are you a Lakota? No, I am Armenian Lebanese from Lebanon. So we'd like to invite you if you have a program, Lance or someone from the group can come on your show. Like I said, just to spread the word out, because it's important, our kids, and it's not only Native kids, it's all our kids are taking their lives.
Thanks, Don.
So thank you so much. Sarah, thank you so much, as ever.
Maybe close it up, Sarah, huh? Or what do you think?
All right, I'm going to ask Kolia to, and then
Yeah,
we'll close it.
whoever wants to talk.
I'd like to just say a Lakota prayer, Ahol Metikuya Yasin, which means for all our relations. Blessings.
Thank you. You know, she gave me this and it brought me to tears. They buried my Indiela today in Chicago. My people, my mother's people are indigenous. She was 96, a long journey. I will come to that. But you mentioned Japan. And I think we need to focus a little bit before we go, a little bit more on our bloody hands. Because to think, when I heard that there was nuclear weapons in Japan, I cried because I couldn't believe that the place that we tried to bomb off the planet, not once but twice, would have an inkling of nuclear anything. We must be free of the nuclear piece. We must be free of any corporations that are talking about digging into the belly of Mother Earth. We've just got to stop it. There is a stopping point. And when I see that the children of reservations, and reservations are same as concentration camps in the United States, and my mother's people continue to be in these concentration camps because there's nowhere else really literally for them to go. Because even the Africans who were once their friends are now very insensitive to the indigenous population of this country. So if I might close, and to my Indiela who's going on to meet the Great Spirit, I want to close on a song that my mother always sang. Creek Nation's gonna shine tonight, shine tonight, shine tonight. Creek Nation's gonna shine tonight, shine by the light of the moon. When the sun goes down and the moon comes up, Creek Nation's gonna shine.